can anytime turn off your camera. We are not sure that we will publish anything of it, but in case if we publish, if there will be something really interesting, what's worth watching to everyone else, we will publish this part only.
Mm-hmm.
I can even cut parts if we don't need all.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, write in the chat in Slack or here from where you are. Let's see.
Maybe it's easier here.
I think today, yeah, it's easier here. Let's write it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Anna, look who is here. Good morning, Anna. So let's see. Somebody wrote if there is a study group for professional cloud architect. So far now, no. But if you are already certified for architect, for the associate architect, maybe you can share your experience with us. If you are not, the associate is the base of the professional, so it's not that you miss anything. So I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to what I said. My English is not really the best, but I think you got the idea. Greetings.
Your English is just fine, Linda. There were a few such requests for professional architect, and if we have several people, we can form another group. You shouldn't really wait for the majority to join it, like in a few months. I would suggest join our Slack. I will post the link to Slack in the video chat, and we will connect people if it's required. If they have like at least 2-3 people, we will connect these people, and we can form another group. It shouldn't be okay. It should be okay. It should be okay.
I like that. And timings are different, so we may want to do that, but not everybody's in the same knowledge line and timeline. So it can be ad hoc networking.
And let's see, here we have people. Let's see, everybody started to write. Hi. From Dominican Republic. Might be I don't pronounce everything. Ethiopia. GDG Bahir Dar. Hi everyone. Florida, USA. Singapore, Ethiopia. Prem from Singapore. Brajesh from India. I don't say the names. I don't want to get embarrassed. Indonesia. Oh, thank you, Jojo. My English is fine. Everybody say the same, but sometimes I don't understand, Poland, Toronto, India, Nigeria, India. We can invite people who got certificate in Google Cloud certification and tell them to tell their experience. Maybe this was a question, and I was thinking of creating a website blog knowledge-based platform to share resources so that everyone can benefit from the community. This is Avishai. This was a question, right? Vietnam, Toronto, Canada, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Dubai, Mauritius, Armenia.
Wow.
I'm located. Actually, I'm from all over the world. I'm located in New York State, near the capital of New York State, Albany. And but I'm originally from Romania, and I lived 12 years in Rome, Italy, and like 7 years and a half ago I moved here in the United States. So yeah, UK, India, Ethiopia, Indonesia, India, El Salvador, Central America, India. So Avishai says that is a proposal. Yes, it's a good proposal. What do you think, Karen?
Which one?
He says, so we can invite people that got certified in Google Cloud certification and tell us their experience. And he was thinking...
It's a great no-brainer idea. Thank you for this. We did exactly that last week in our first this kind of study group, where we invited a person who completed like 10 or something like this different Google certifications, and this person he has also
Satish.
his own very cool his own YouTube channel. There is information about it. It's in our Google Doc document.
Yeah.
If you don't have this one, I can share it also in the chat with you.
Mexico.
So,
we have Mexico.
We will have another person today for sharing this experience, and anyone is welcome to speak up and just explain their experience with Google certification.
We will wait like until 10-15 minutes to see if anyone else shows up, and after we will start, right? So let's see where I left.
I want to make a quick intro for the people coming from Toronto, for Serverless Toronto user group. I see Jonathan there. So we are just joining the other groups. So Karen and Linda and John Davis are leading this group. And you're just going to be listening and learning from that.
Everybody's leading this group.
We are crowd driven basically.
Yeah.
And since we've got people that are here, and we can only fit 50 people in the quiz at a time, what we should do is just go ahead and start one quiz and let people get into that one, and then when that one completes, the other people can get in the second one, and that would pick up the people that show up in 15 minutes, and then go from there.
Here somebody wrote, try to invite Mahesh Kumar. He is good guy. He has an excellent YouTube channel about GCP. Learn GCP with Mahesh.
Hello. Hi, this is Supriya. Hi, Karen. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
So I have heard about this guy Mahesh Kumar. He has also good YouTube channel, and he covers more aspects of GCP architect, and I think he has some videos for GCP data engineer also. And one more announcement, not announcement, I can say, I found is there is one academy, Cloud Academy, wherein if you enroll for this trial, free 7 days trial, so definitely you should enroll it at the end. So they have videos, a complete preparation course, and at the last they have 2 hours of practice exam, the same which we have in Linux Academy. So there are two academies which I'm talking about. One is a Linux Academy, other is a Cloud Academy. They both have quizzes. Why I'm telling, because when I prepared for GCP data engineer, both these academic courses helped me a lot to understand the concepts and get clarity about how the questions can be framed, how they can be twisted, and how we should approach for answering those questions.
Maybe you can share the link. I think everybody heard about the Linux Academy and the Cloud Academy, right? We are almost at 100 people so far.
Yeah. So they have 7 days free trial, so anybody can enroll for that.
Somebody, I think John shared the link for the quiz. If you want to start the quiz, maybe John can share his screen and we can have some fun together. We have here people from Singapore, Serbia, London, Indonesia, Mexico. Ah, Giorgio, certo, parlo italiano molto bene. Se vuoi parliamo pure dopo questa sessione. Okay, so today I practice again my Italian, just in case people think that I don't speak Italian. Okay, 100, we reached the milestone.
Yeah, it's a world record. 101
World record. Okay, so John, I leave it to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn this thing off here in a second because you don't need to see my screen. If you look at the screen, it's all self-contained. But I'm going to watch it, and I'm not going to connect. I'm hoping that you guys do the connection. We've got 24. We'll run it twice. So we can only do 50 people at a time. So the first 50 people that want to do it, go ahead and start it up as soon as it hits 50 people connected. I'll start it. And then the second time we'll run it. If you were in it the first time, there's no need to redo it, but give somebody else a chance. And this is just taken from the material that we talked about last week that you would look at this previous week. And that is the Dan Sullivan video on Udemy or his book. We got 34.
people, 38 people joined the quiz so far.
Yeah, got 101 people. So once again, just a reminder, what this is about is you're going to do the quiz, get a feel for what you don't know, and then after I'm just going to let you guys do your quick labs, and we'll talk about how to do, like any questions that arises during your dedicated 1 to 2 hour time of studying quick labs.
Maybe after we finish with the quiz, I can give you only a few insights what you should, which quick labs you should take first that are suggested by Google for doing this path. So after we are done with the quizzes, I will give you some insights, and after we can start to work. What do you think about it?
It's a good idea. Maybe you don't even have to run it twice. You can just look at it and see if you get the answer right.
So John, you created this quiz or you found it somewhere?
John set up the quiz.
Thanks. Thank you for your effort.
Oh yeah, no worries. Thank you. Thank you for joining the thing.
I see your creative names.
I don't know if this one has like the solution or.
Yeah, it's showing you in green how many people answer correct, 58% and things like this. Did you see?
Yeah, one of these I tried to do a graphic for the solution and to kind of get an idea of how to mnemonic it. I don't know if that one has come up yet.
Oh, okay. But we have more than 50 people. Did you see 58? So maybe that is not limited to 50, how we thought.
Maybe not.
So please join if you can, but next time, no?
Yeah.
Because I see when it says received answers, there was 58. So I'm assuming, I'm not sure. If
Yeah, you know as much as I do. When I'm watching it's, yeah, I see what you're saying right there, 57.
58, did you see? So.
Maybe we just broke it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, what I thought is, hey, you know, like the best way to study something for this exam is to do things, right? You do GCP and you will study for the exam, right? Another thing to think about is what's the best way to make friends? Best way to make friends is work together on a shared endeavor, right? You know, you work with people, you make friends with them. Just the way it happens. So why should we be making a website or using a website like this? Why don't we work together to build a quiz website?
Yeah, sounds really great.
I mean, that's the thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But another time after this.
Yeah, we are just starting.
Yeah.
We are just starting with those things, and they will get polished over time.
Yeah.
We'll get better.
Yeah. No. So this one, it did have the mnemonic, and a lot of people got that. So that's good. That's good. Yeah, we're just beginning to meet now. So my glasses, seems like I try to clean them and all they do is just smear and get worse.
So it's the last question, right?
Yep.
Cool. After the quiz, we can ask Sandy to explain or share her experience with this certification.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, before we do that, I think like we might want to put the questions up so people can go back to see, like, congratulations, everybody. There are no winners. This is really just how do you, congratulations, top 3.
And the winner is John, right? Because you composed these questions.
I didn't play. I was just, literally when I did it, I think I got like 75%. But this is so that you can see them. You kind of remember like what you failed on. You can go here and I'll show them we'll go through them real quick. I'll scroll through them so that you can see if there was a particular one that you want to know the answer, or if you have any questions, you can ask about it.
But if you show the answers, next time when people do the exam, they already know the answers. So don't show the answers now.
Okay, all right. Okay. We'll do that then. All right, so I'll just start it up again for the next people. And like I said, we can do that while the next person is talking. And then you get a feel for what you don't know, so you know what to do after the next speaker to study on, while Linda's even pointing out even better labs that we should take, and just write those down.
If I find quickly what I need, I will.
All right. So it started back up if you didn't get it in the first time. And go ahead, Karen, with the person that wants to speak.
Yeah. So Cindy, are you here in the call?
Yeah. Hi, Karen. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
So the mic is yours. The stage is yours. Cindy is our member from UK, and she already passed this exam successfully, and she wrote also 2 blog posts on it. We actually linked those blog posts also in our document.
Thank you. I hope they're of some use to people.
Congratulations, Sandy.
Thank you, Linda. So I've got some pretty big shoes to fill after Satish last week. So I'd like to say that from a beginner point of view for cloud, I think the experience that I've had is pretty different to Satish in the sense that I've had to take the exam from home. The level of experience that I got with cloud as a team is limited since we were working from home. And so I think the experience in general, if you're taking the exam remotely, can be quite different to what you might read online, which is why I wanted to do the blogs, just to give somebody who's about to take the exam an idea of what they can expect. So if you haven't had a look at the blog, it kind of goes through what I did to prepare, and then goes through all the resources at the bottom. And then the second blog kind of describes the exam day, what happened, how it was carried out, etc. So as I've heard during this call alone, I've heard that you guys mentioned Dan Sullivan's Udemy course, which is exactly the course that I did. I think if you have him or Satish on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see when they have the course on a discount or when they've offered it for free, etc. I was one of the people who jumped on the opportunity when they listed it for free. So I took that Udemy course. I would really recommend that you do it. Obviously, Dan is the person who wrote the guidebook to the exam. And so the course that he provides on Udemy is very, very concise on the information that you need to know and gives you a really good starting point for what you need to learn. Personally, I found the section for network and computer network systems really interesting, and that was pretty much the only way I understood the chapter, was going through that that video on Udemy. Another resource that I used was actually on Pluralsight. I'm not sure if everyone has access to Pluralsight, but they do a really good fundamentals course called Cloud Platform Fundamentals. The lady who does, well, I think they've released a new version last week, but the lady who did it when I watched it, she was, I think, a Google Cloud expert, and she went through every single topic, all the content you need to know, and that gave you a pretty good structure for you to go on and understand when you're reading the book. I did read the book before watching that, and it made zero sense to me. As a beginner, obviously, I think getting hold of cloud concept could be a little bit more difficult than if somebody has an experience on it. So if you do have previous experience, I think you should be good to go without any trouble, really. And then after that, I did all the quick labs pretty much that are mentioned in the guidebook, and I did a couple of others. You can find the full list on my blog at the bottom. Before I prepared for the exam, I obviously, as I said, I really speak highly of Satish and his content as well. His videos on YouTube are of really good help, and his blogs on what to expect and his resources as well, I would definitely recommend. And then finally, before I went into the exam, the day before, I went through all the command line questions that are in the guidebook. Again, if you have limited practice with GCP, you'll struggle with the command line questions. So I tried to kind of go through those questions one more time to ensure that I've got it down. And then I went through they have like a real life scenario section, pretty much every chapter. And so I reread through those, I made sure I understood those, and then good to go. As for, I know that sometimes when you're redoing the quizzes at the end of chapters, it can feel like you're learning the answers. Try and explain why you're choosing A, B, or C instead of just choosing them from memory. So by the time that I started to memorize which option was the right answer, instead of just saying A is the right answer, I'd say A is the right answer because X, Y, and Z. Yeah, so does anyone have any questions about those? I'm not sure how this works. No?
Could we get the link to the blog, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was my prep for the exams, and I've just put it in the chat.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
No worries. For the exam day, thanks. For the exam day, I think if you're taking the exam at the actual exam centres, they're all cancelled at the moment, or delayed rather, because of the current COVID-19. But if you are taking it online, I can give you a little bit of a breakdown of kind of how it happens, and hopefully that should prep you and make you less anxious for the day. So when you set up your computer, etc., you have to download Criterion. They have a specific software. They ask you to check for the internet speed, sound, video, etc. Once they're all working, they ask you to set up your desk, which is just pretty much you're only allowed to have your laptop or computer, mouse, your water bottle if you have one, and your desk. That's it. They ask you to kind of lift your laptop and just turn it around so that they can see all the walls, the ceilings, the floors around you, the desk. They can make sure that there's no paper around you. And then they ask you to show your ID, which is either a passport or driving license or whatever other ID they accept. As for, I think the way it works is they can stop your exam at any time so that they can ask for this information. I think I was one of the lucky ones because they stopped me right after question 1, so I didn't get to really experience them disturbing or stopping my concentration. But I've heard of a couple of people where they're like halfway through the exam, fully focused, and they stop them. So just bear that in mind. Some people don't get asked at all, so hopefully, you know, you're one of those. But if you are, don't let it waver you. Just show them, just get it done and carry on. You can label questions as questions to come back to. I did that for every single question that I wasn't sure about, which turned out to be like 48 out of 50 questions or something ridiculous like that. I really wanted to make sure that I got it down because personally I did prep for about three months, whereas the exam book says you should prep for about 6 months. So I knew that I know the content, but when I started the exam I actually double checked if it was the right one. After like 2 questions I thought, okay, I'm not getting any of this, I'm not sure if this is the right exam. But I think Google does that on purpose. So if you feel like after question 1, 2 or 3 you're really worried, you're not understanding it, it's fine, just flag those to come back to them, and then the next couple of questions will be fine, I promise. So don't let it waver you. I think Google kind of just wants to like make sure you're fully prepped and concentrated. Other than that, I don't think there was any surprise. In my exam, there were a lot of network questions, a lot of architecture questions actually. There were a lot of questions based on Cloud Armor, and then your general questions on cloud storage, buckets, etc. So I think if you've prepped everything that's mentioned in the guidebook and you've passed Dan's Udemy exam at the end, which I failed like 3 times, so don't worry if you're not getting it the first time or second time or third time. Don't worry about that, just keep trying. And then I did literally every single question from the chapter, end of chapter tests. I did the end of chapter tests like 10 times, I'm not joking. But I think it helped because in the sense that it was consolidating what I'd learned, I was making sure that I understood why I was making those choices. And some of those questions actually linked to the exam questions. I hope that's been of some use to you. If you do have any questions throughout, just let me know.
Nice. Thank you for sharing your experience. Actually, I failed myself twice. Now I'm preparing for the 3rd time.
Good luck. Good luck.
You. Actually, I tell you the truth, after the 2nd time I got so much discouraged that I didn't, I just put it on the side. I didn't think of it anymore. And talking with Karen, I says, oh, Karen, you know, now with this COVID, let's concentrate to get certified because I invested so much time, you know, and I just throw it out of the window. And he says, oh, let's pay. And we decided to make this group so we can encourage each other because, yes, there are bumps during your path. But if you have your group that pushes you, you go over the limits that you might have. And it's nice to hear stories of people that tried and they failed like I failed or somebody else who failed in the group.
Absolutely. It's a learning process. So if you don't get it the first time, you'll get it the 2nd or the 3rd. I mean, at the end of the day, you'll have the certificate and it won't say this is her 3rd time or 4th time or whatever. So at the end of the day, as long as you get the certificate, you can ensure that you know the content and you've understood the concepts, and that's what you care about. So
yeah.
Don't you need to wait a year or something? Like, how many times can you fail?
After the first time, you can say Sandy, maybe you have more experience than me.
So I believe after the first time you have to wait 14 days.
Yeah.
After the 2nd time, I'm not so sure.
A month. No, after the 2nd time it's a month, and after the 3rd time it's 6 months, and after 1 year, I think. We can Google it in the website. Give me just 1 second.
And then while you're Googling, Sandy, like those questions, you're referring to both the book and the course. I only have the course, I don't have the book. I don't think I'm going to be buying it. Are the questions the same at the end of the videos? I didn't do the homework.
No, so the questions at the end of the guidebook, there are about, I think, 21 to 25 questions per chapter. I really, honestly, I do recommend the book. I've just got the next book. And so I do recommend it. And I don't think you have to buy it. I found it online after I bought it. So a good search might do you. Yeah, I think, personally, I did invest in the books. And the end of chapter questions, they are, there you go. Thanks, Linda. The end of chapter questions, I think they give you a little bit more practice. They make you feel more comfortable. They help you kind of pinpoint exactly where you're going wrong, which concepts you're not understanding.
Okay.
Actually, we will have... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, like, I didn't buy the book because reviews on the Amazon were not great. Some of the guys say that the questions are not representative of the real exam. They will give you points that you can pass, and then they will list the areas that are not covered in books. I said, forget it. But,
I would absolutely agree with those reviews that the questions have pretty much nothing to do with the exam. I think of those questions, and I did do like 25 times 18. There are 18 chapters. Each one has about 25 questions. I did every single one at least 10 times, and I think maybe like 1 or 2 of those questions came up in the exam. However,
it prepares you anyways. So even if the reviews are
kind
negative,
of help you understand the concepts rather than be prepared for the questions in the exam. So I think personally, when I was going through those questions, I kept getting specific questions wrong. And I realized in the end that I definitely had a misconception somewhere about cloud storage. And so I went over that chapter again, and it helps you pinpoint where you're missing the knowledge. As for in the exam, I think maybe 1 or 2 of those questions came up. And I mean, at least you got those questions right, so...
Anyways, I don't think so that they have the right to publish the questions that are in the exam, because if not, people, instead of learning what you have to know, they will learn the questions, learn the answers, and that's it. So yes, the book I recommended myself. I read it twice. It gives you a better overview. The first time, I tell you the truth, when I went first time to do the exam, because I didn't have enough time to prepare, because everybody say, oh, you learn 1 month, 2 months, you go there and you pass it. So I says, I went myself and I did. First time I could not understand any questions, so it's like blank. I was reading the questions, I didn't understand nothing. So but the second time, I gave myself a little bit more time. I didn't show up after 14 days, I think like after 1 month or 2. And finally, I started to understand what was written in there. Of course, not 100%, but I can tell you that the book and the courses starts to, because I have to get used with the language that they use. I speak good, everybody, oh, you speak good English. Yes, I know the words that I have to say, but the language that they use in the exam, it's quite different than the language that I use every day with my husband and with the colleagues and with friends and with you. So I think what is here, the book and the quizzes that are in the book and the videos in Coursera and Udemy and so on, they prepare you to have that language so you can understand the questions and find the best solutions that are available in the question in the exam day. So yes, people are complaining they don't have the right questions, but I don't think so it will be fair to have the questions of the exam out there.
I think Google has taken down many links where they discuss specific questions that are brought up in the exam. And I don't know if it makes people feel better that the certification is more valid or worse that they're less prepared. But in a way, I think it kind of makes you more, more liable to what you do to prepare for it, in the sense that if you feel less prepared and you go in and you fail, it motivates you to work harder, because you know that once you get it, you're regarded even better at GCP because you have got that certification, even though they've made it so difficult. I think definitely the questions have nothing to do with the book. They don't have much to do with Dan's Udemy course either, in the sense that I don't think I've seen any of those questions off the exam. And I think that if I had those questions in the book, I would have just been as confused as I was in the exam. So I think that's a good way of putting it, because I know that I've seen loads of reviews where people say that they've double checked so that they're in the right exam, and I have done that. I literally paused and I was like, am I in the right exam? Because it was very strange. I was thinking, because the first and second question, they brought up keywords that I'd never even heard of, and I was like, what am I think I'm taking the wrong exam. But I think they do that kind of just to get you in that mood of, oh my God, I'm more anxious, I need to focus more, maybe this was mentioned and I didn't pick up on it. But if you just flag those and carry on, you'll find the questions that you know the answers to, or you'll find the questions that you can deduce the answers. And I think a lot of the questions, it was very, very narrow. It was like, okay, it can't be A and B, so it must be C and D, but which is it? And it's the little keywords, again, exactly what you said, Linda, about the language they use. It's the little keywords they use in the question. And I'm like, oh, I completely missed the word transaction, and that's why I picked the wrong answer.
Exactly. And Google is very paying very attention if somebody is cheating or somebody is giving out the questions of the exam. You can even lose your certification. So they are very, I don't know how to say it. Did you see? I have problems sometimes in English. Very strict. So that's why you will never see the questions of the exam out there.
Sandy, I have a question. Now that you've taken this exam and passed it, what are your plans, or what doors do you feel will be open to you? What opportunities you have? I haven't taken this exam. I actually know next to nothing about this subject. I am a computer programmer, and I decided I should probably find out a little bit about the subject. So I'm curious to find out what doors this opens you as a developer, what job opportunities or how valuable that is.
Well, that's a really good question. Thank you, Abbas. I think so. A little bit of a background. I'm in exactly the same boat as you are, in the sense that my background is in electrical and electronic engineering. I'm not a computer scientist. I have pretty much next to zero developer skills or anything like that. I haven't done DevOps or anything of the sort before. I joined my old team now, and they worked primarily with GCP. They were migrating on-premise to cloud data. And so I was literally thrown in the deep end, like, okay, we need you to migrate this data for this country. Okay, I don't know GCP. Well, you're going to have to learn GCP. And before that, I was primarily interested in AI and machine learning, and that was kind of my career path. So getting to work with GCP has kind of just put a hole on my AI and machine learning track. And now I'm really considering either like a cloud solutions engineer or carrying on with data engineering. But as for my next steps, I literally have the book for the professional cloud architect next to me. I just need to open it at some stage. I think I'm taking a little break. But I will do the cloud architect, and then I may stop and go to AWS. I know that someone in the comments has said they're doing the complete opposite. They have good experience in AWS, but their GCP is challenging them with the G-Cloud commands. So to answer your question, Abbas, I think cloud is obviously the way forward for a lot of companies, and whether you're working with AWS or with GCP, it will definitely open doors for you, career-wise, job-wise, and I think in general, if you're in DevOps or in engineering or anything of the sort, programming, etc. I think it's a really good skill to have. So even having the certification or having the experience with the cloud, putting it to the side, knowing that you have that skill, if you find the job that you like and want to apply to it, then you've already ticked that box without having to work any harder. Now that you've got the chance, you've got the time, you're kind of prepping at your pace instead of being thrown in the deep end.
Actually,
Thank you very much.
Next weekend, I think Saturday, we have invited Dan Sullivan, the author of the books, the study guides. And if you like to join our GDGs, we are organizing, all of us, we team up, and we might have some copies of the book. We are working on some copies of the book and the course online to give it away. It's not everything confirmed that we are still working, but if you show up, you might have the possibility to have a coupon, and if you cannot afford to have the book or the course. So stay tuned to join us next weekend, and you will see what is available.
Thank you. I think I will. I believe the course is something like $40 or something. Is that right? Not a lot.
I think there are, we published, because, how you call it, Dan shared on LinkedIn some coupons for his course, and we reshare it with people. Even if you are in Slack, in GDG Nuremberg Slack, there, when he makes it available, everybody shares it. So can you say something, Karen, about it?
Yeah, let me add, and I think I need to stress it. So everyone in the call, next week, Saturday, we will have the author of this book and this course with us talking about the whole thing. Don't miss out on this. And at whatever GDG group you are, or Serverless Toronto, Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, are you also hosting this author with us?
Yes, I will post it.
Great. So basically, at whatever group you have registered, we have 5 or 6 groups right now doing this whole event. Stay at your group and see the event for the next week, Saturday, and join it. We will have a similar call with Dan, the author of all of these books, for Google certification. Firsthand, you will get all the information from him. Don't buy his courses, or I probably shouldn't say this, but don't buy any of his courses or books until this time, until next week, Saturday, because we might convince him to give it out in some way. I don't know. Let's see. If you will not get it afterwards, you can buy it if you want.
Yeah.
His course was available 1 week ago. And I think the traces are also somewhere in our document, Google Doc.
I think expired 1 week ago. It expired.
It expired after, like 1 hour after our call last week. It expired, unfortunately.
Wow.
But who knows? Maybe we will get a new code from him. Yeah, and anyways, if you are not yet in the Slack channel of GDG Cloud Nuremberg, go there, because our members are crazy in a good way. Whenever some campaign going on in this world where you can get some crazy freebie, most probably in a few seconds you will get it in our Slack, already announced by our crazy, amazing members. So we have the whole flow of this kind of campaigns going on in our Slack in the announces channel.
If you
Thank
follow
Karen.
in
I'll
LinkedIn,
certainly check that out.
if you follow in LinkedIn, then sometimes he posts these promotions that he makes. That's how I found out myself, and I shared in the Slack that Karen was saying with everybody, because the first time I missed it was in another Slack, and I seen it late, and so I followed Dan on LinkedIn. And and the second time I got it. So, and I shared it with other people, but it's for a limited time. It's not like for for weeks or months. So you have to wait
Right.
for the second for the right moment. Otherwise, you can purchase it. Sometimes it's like $9. Sometimes it's like $13, depending. Sometimes it's 50.
Yeah.
So,
I'd be very interested in collaborating on a project involving GDP or anything.
GCP.
Any 3 letters you can call, doesn't matter.
ABC. So there's probably a whole bunch of developers in this meeting. Is there an interest in collaborating and maybe putting something on GitHub and doing something fun?
Yeah, so I'm John. I do the GDG Cloud RTP. We did the powered by TensorFlow 2.0 challenge back when TensorFlow was getting ready to go to 2.0. And I was the one that was saying that as a group, we should implement one of these quiz websites. So after this ACE thing is done and I get a little more time, that's one of the things that I will start trying to do.
What is it you said? What did you call it?
So what do I call what?
You mentioned a quiz or a...
So the quiz that we gave, right? That website. We tried to use another website that would allow, like more than 50 people. Some of those websites, they want like $64 a month to do more than 50 people. This particular one, you could do 50, but you could see it was kind of primitive. We couldn't put graphics up at the end. You could put graphics up at the beginning of a question, but not at the end.
Right.
You don't have a way to, you can't do the things that we need to do, right? Like display all of the questions so people can look at them and say, oh, I did poorly on this one particular question. What should I do to study for that question? And we can talk about that if people want to. But that was my goal in doing that, is you go through, do a quiz, see what you need to do, and then do it afterwards. But instead of paying money to some company to run these quizzes, as a group to learn Google Cloud Platform, we should put something together to make one of these websites.
That's a great idea.
So I was saying before that I would like to talk with you about the learning path. There is a document. Give me 1 second. I will share my screen with all of you, because this will be interesting. This is not, I cannot find if they have an up-to-date. This is the one that I use for myself when I was studying, and I will share with all of you. And can everybody see my screen? Yeah, now it's saying, okay, so
Yes.
this was in 2019 when I did the challenge myself, but here you have the learning path for each of the certifications that I will share the link later that you would like to take, and here it's telling you for each certification what you should do. You should take the GCP. If you want to be an associate cloud engineering, the first month you should complete the GCP Essential Quest Lab, the Cloud Architecture Quest, and book your, they ask you to book the exam. The second month you will do the architecting with GCP Coursera specialization. You will fill in the gaps with the documentation, take the exam, and they have a practice exam. So I will share this document. I cannot find the new up-to-date, if they have an up-to-date, but this is a very good document that was done in 2019. And you have some questions answered, and you can click the links and go for more documentation. So this helped me a little bit to guide me on my process, because it's not really straightforward, and it's kind of difficult sometimes when you are new to it. So if somebody can post this link even in our shared document, maybe Karen or someone else. Here, I posted.
So regarding,
Yeah.
so
Linda,
regarding the
you-
latest document, if you sign up for the 30% offer link, which is in the our GDG group, they will mail you that latest document for the exam you are signing
Yes.
with the learning path.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, and I have to, from Satish, from the first meetup, from the first call, I have to tell everyone who is living in countries which are not, don't have very high buying power or whatever he called it, PPP, I guess. Ask your certification body, they might provide by default already some discount, because these prices are actually targeted towards Western world. The prices, your regular prices for the certifications. If you are living in countries which don't have this power, buying power, ask them. They by default might already provide you 30-50% discount, something like this. This is what Satish told us. He's from India, and he told us he took all, I guess, all of the certifications with a substantial discount.
I would like to share something else with you guys that it's also very important. Give me just 1 second, I should have it here. I have so many tabs. It's behind this. 1 second. Because I'm trying to prepare to show you few things, and I would like to share it with you. This will help you because I already was there. I was confused in the beginning, and it took me time to figure out what to learn. I had it open, but I don't know where it is here. 1 second. Here, I found it. Okay. So, can you still see my screen? Oh, I think I'm not sharing it anymore, right? Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, yeah.
Ah, okay. Sorry. So another thing that I like, it's okay, if you can see, is this cheat sheet, Google cheat sheet. It will help you a lot. But if you don't have it in paper, there is a GitHub repo where you can download it. This one in the GitHub, it's more accurate, more up to date. Mine is older version, so many things are missing. But if you go here, underneath, you have links, and you can click these 2 links, and one, let's see, one takes you to. One, it will take you to the documentation, and you can read about let's say first was Cloud Run, no? And you can read about it, and you have links and everything. Actually, this is the documentation, and this is the business solution, I think, if I'm right. This is the products, yeah, okay. So you can go to read about it and so on. So not only you have the cheat sheet, but you can go to read about everything. Let's say, oh, okay, so when I went to the exam, I did poorly, let's say, in Kubernetes, no? So you can go to read in the documentation about Kubernetes and go to, so you have guides, I think you might have even, you have solution resources, and you can go to fill out that gap that you had when you went to the exam. I will share this if you don't have it already. And if somebody
Even
can
I have the
collect all
latest
these
image
links to
prepared.
put it in our document. Sorry?
Even I have recently downloaded this PNG image, so let me share.
I didn't understand. Sorry, sometimes I have problems understanding.
No, he said he downloaded the image as a PNG file already. He'll share it on the group.
Ah, okay. Perfect. Yeah, so, but I like the repo because you can go to read, you have all the products categorized, and you can go to read about that one. For example, if you are confused, say, what is this big table? Okay, So you see, it's a petabyte scale, low latency, non-relational database. No, okay. So let's go to read about a big table. So you can go in documentation and you can read, or if you want to other things, you know, like fill out all your gaps and things like this. Here you have everything. So I think it's a very good repo to follow, and especially if you are into getting certified. Plus,
Great.
last week, for who was not here, we shared this other repo of Satish, awesome GCP certifications, and here you have lots of documentation that can help you with links and everything that can help you on your learning journey. So I will share even this. And there are many things out there.
While you're sharing, like maybe I can add my thoughts here. Like I did not go to exam. There is a vast amount of information to read horizontally and flat. I posted a link inside that so far has been helping me answer the questions that Satish was pointing to. So it's a grumpy grace. So it's a similar flowcharts, but they're in a context. Because when you are asked the question, you have to triage it to know which way to think. So rather than going horizontally from everything that Google offers, I think like, see the link I just posted, and I even printed all these diagrams. So there is a blog from somebody from Google that takes you through the flow chart, how you answer the questions, how you map things. So that's my first choice. I would not follow and read everything that you recommended.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think when I tried to read the GCP certification that's available on Google, I got really lost, really confused super quickly. There is a lot of information there, and the information is not, it's the recent information, but it's somewhat too much information. You won't be tested on all of that. I think to an extent, if you're going to go into architecture or security, some things you won't need to know. If you're going to go into security, some things you do need to know. And so you can get lost in that GCP certification. It's like a little maze of information. You just keep clicking to the next page, and you do get lost a little bit.
Yeah, that's good to know. Sandy, may I ask, when you started on this journey to become certified, did you start off with any background in cloud computing or anything like that?
Absolutely none. My knowledge of cloud was extremely limited to Google Drive. I pretty much just knew that I needed that to upload my university documents, and that's pretty much it. So when I do say beginner and I'm having to fill in big shoes from Satish, who's an expert last week, I'm being quite honest with that. So when I say literally no experience with Google Cloud, it's pretty much didn't know at all what it meant.
Okay, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm curious how long it took you from going from that point to becoming certified, and how much, not only how long it took you in terms of months, but how much time. I mean, were you the type of person that spent 2 hours a day studying, or did you devote all your days and weekends, or what is the estimation of effort?
I see. Okay. So I do work a full-time job, and I'm an upcoming beauty influencer on Instagram, as they say. So I think my time is kind of divided between my full-time job and having to prepare for the GCP and work on the actual Instagram uploads and stuff. So as for my time preparing for the exam, I'd say it'd be like 1 hour to 2 hours a day for 3 months. Leading up to the exam itself, I took, I want to say, 3 days off work, and I just sat at my desk 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I just redid all the questions. I did all the end of chapter questions. I redid all the end of chapter questions from Dan's Udemy course. I reread all my notes. I reread all the highlighted sections in the book where I was getting confused before. But other than that, I think I can safely say I prepped and took the exam and passed it all in 3 months.
Well done.
Thank
So-
you.
Great.
Yeah, so you spend an hour or two every day. Would you say 7 days a week, or just
Maybe like 5, 6
5
days
days?
a week, yeah.
and on the weekends did you work on it?
I'd say like sometimes when I'm like, I have like 20 minutes here and there, I'll reread some notes, or I'll take a couple of questions from the last chapter that I got wrong. Something like, I wouldn't say it's overly time consuming or anything, but it's more that once you take the Pluralsight course or a couple of online courses, not to be real specific, and you get the kind of knowledge base that you need, then you just need to build up the detail, and that doesn't take as long as getting the fundamentals down.
That makes sense. Now, you passed your certification. Do you know the grade that you get, or I don't know, does it tell you how well you did?
No, it doesn't even tell you nobody even knows what the pass rate is. So you could be getting 99% and it still be a pass. You could be getting 70% and they accept that and it's a pass. So I think the theory online is that you need 80 to 85% minimum. Another theory says that they use ML behind the scenes to figure out if the questions you answered are the easy ones or the hard ones, and then based on that they choose whether or not you'll pass. Nobody really knows. So I'd say yeah, it was a bit of a confusion at the end. So you get, I didn't mention this, so you get a provisional result from Criterion which says pass or fail, and then a week later they send you a certificate from Google if you passed. Otherwise they send you a guaranteed result that says pass or fail.
So provisional means,
yeah.
Well, we think you passed, but we're not quite sure.
If the provisional is like, yeah, to us it looks like you passed, but like, does Google agree? Yeah, but I think I haven't heard of any case where somebody got a pass and then didn't pass. I think it's more they just need the confirmation and the certificate to relay to you. But actually, if you take the online, if you take the exam in person, you get the result within, like, it says up to 7 days, but most people got it within like 2 days. If you take the exam online, it says 7 to 10 working days. I got it after like 14 working days or something. And I got a couple of emails actually at 1 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, my result is here. And then I open it and it's like 1 a.m., 23 minutes. Okay, the results will be delayed. 1 a.m., 24 minutes. Your results will still be delayed. And I was like, yeah, but after a while you get it. So I think I don't be bothered with the wait. I know I like refreshed my email about 20 times a day, waiting for that, but it's, you know, it'll come when it does.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I know I've missed a couple of questions on the side, sorry. So somebody asked how to prepare for the command line questions and pricing calculator in Kubernetes. So the command line questions, I would definitely suggest Quick Labs. Don't just, okay, so what I did before I was fully preparing, I just kind of copied what they wrote and then I just pasted it and I was like, quest done. And then I realized I had no clue what I was copying and pasting, and I was just focusing on getting the little badges instead of actually understanding what was going on. So I switched and started kind of rewriting what I was reading. So I'd be like, oh, okay, this says BQ, so we're working with BigQuery. And then this says this, which is the bucket name, so we're moving to that. And then just kind of break it down in your mind. There's kind of trends with the command line questions. So anything that's manipulating the data on BigQuery will have a BQ command. Anything that, hello, sorry, just hearing myself. And then if you kind of do enough practice on Quick Labs, you'll pick up on the little trends and it'll get faster and easier for you. That's the first step. The second step is I readed every single command line question in the book about 20-30 times because I just kept getting mixed up. And it's easy to get mixed up, I think, because they're all so similar. But once you kind of see the trend and why they use specific command lines, it helps you to deduce which ones are wrong. Generally in the question, there'll be like, if it's a question on storage, 2 of the options will say BigQuery, and then 2 of the options will say another command, and then you can eliminate 2 straight away. So I think that's the best way to tackle that. It's just a lot of practice. Pricing calculator, I haven't seen any questions on those. I think the only question that might come up is like, how would you get a good estimate of how much this will cost? And your answer is always going to be a pricing calculator. Another question they could ask has to do with like, what do you need to input? Generally, you need to, if it's BigQuery, you need to input how much data you're going to run, how much data you're going to query, how long it'll take, something like that. So it's pretty repetitive. You don't really need too much prep for that. Kubernetes. Yeah, there are a lot of questions on Kubernetes in the exam. I think the best way to approach the Kubernetes questions is definitely understand the concepts and what kind of, why you need the clusters, how they communicate, the networks questions. I think there were about 10, 15 questions on networks in the exam. I know at stage I kept like saying, how many network questions do I have left now? Like I went back and I was like, oh, that's 5. I still need to do like another 7. So definitely prepare for the network questions, either through the book, the Udemy course, or even do some quests. Somebody said at the end of the day, you have to run the projects in GCP, and the certification would do that. Actually, I used to think that too. I used to think that, you know, if I can use GCP, the certification doesn't matter. But I think it's like a, can I do it sort of thing. It's a bit of like an ego thing where you can do it, that's great, and you can work with it. And I'm sure once you're interviewing or whatever, you'll show that you can use it, and that's perfect. But if you have the certification, it's more like, I know I can do it. You've seen me perform with the tool, but Google also acknowledges that I can do it. It's that sort of the mentality instead of just a piece of paper. How up to date is the Udemy course? I have absolutely no idea. I just took what I can get, and I'm a firm believer of Jack Sparrow's take what you can, give nothing back. So yeah, I took the opportunity as soon as I saw it on my LinkedIn. So definitely, follow everyone on LinkedIn, connect with people, and then just what opportunities are out there, whether it's a course, it's a book, it's a video, whatever it is. Watch it, take all of those resources, make the most of it. Somebody wants to see the book again. Somebody's linked it. Thank you. I think that's all my questions.
Nice. Also, for as a resource to learning, I want to share something else. Does anybody heard about Quizlet? If you go in Quizlet, there are people that are preparing for the. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
I can.
But here is sharing. We see somebody else.
Can everybody see my screen? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because I see somebody else presenting. Okay.
Zahir, can you stop sharing?
So if you go to Quizlet website and you can search for GCP, you might be able to find how you call it, flashcards. Okay, so if you have the book, for sure you have access to the questions that are in the book. Also, the book comes with a digital version of the Cybex website, where you can go and there are questions. I think somebody is sharing the screen. I don't know if you can see my screen. Zisha. How is your name? Can you stop sharing your screen, please? I'm not sure if you can see my screen. I see only his screen. I don't see mine.
We can see actually your
see
screen and very nice grid which you have on your in your
because
browser.
I see only one guy that he's sharing his screen, but I don't
No,
see.
no, I think you are sharing right now.
Okay.
Just go for it.
Okay. And when you register your book, that's why I say the book is good. Maybe people, it's always, there will be people that like you, and there are people that they don't like you. But I'm telling you from my experience, this doesn't mean it's the best experience. But when you get the book, you get the chance to register your book online, and you have access to a bank of questions that are almost 500 questions that you can take. They are rotated, the questions. You don't get always the same question until you fill out all the questions, and this prepares you to getting better and better and understanding the right question, the right answer, the right answer to the question. So don't listen only the bad feedback. So always when I buy something on Amazon, let's say, I read the bad feedbacks, of course, but after I read even the good feedbacks, and I look at the overall of the feedback. So as far as I know, the book, it will help you a lot. In the beginning, first time when I went there to do the exam, I was able only to read one time the book, because it's really a lot to read. I usually read a lot. I read like a book a day, but not in English. In English, especially a GCP book, I have to read every page like 2 times so I can understand what it is about. So I don't think so that it's a bad idea to read the book. It's very good. You learn the language. It's like you learn a new language, You go in a new country. You don't know any word. You have first to start somewhere to learn the words to be able to express yourself. So I think the book will help you. But you can find many other flashcards and things. If you are not in the position to have the book, you might be able to find some questions online to practice and things like this. But I'm always a fan of having all my stuff when I can, not all the times, but when I can, I've always tried to have my own. Also, give me 1 second. I want to share. I'm not sure if it's still available. Let's try it. When I did, they don't have it anymore. The plural site had at the time, but the link doesn't work anymore. So I'm not sure. You have maybe. They had a IQ test, like to see how proficient are you in GCP, and it will help you before the exam to see if you are really prepared. If you have a high score, it's like an IQ score for GCP. But now it's not working anymore, that link. I think they made more than one. So let me see if I click here, if it gives me. No, it gives me the course. Okay, if I will find the new version of this one, I will let you know, but I cannot find it quickly now. So this I wanted to share with you guys. I stopped sharing my screen.
Hey guys, is it okay for like a quick sharing on my experience starting off with Google?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, hi guys. Anyway, I'm Ashwa. You can call me Ash, no problem. So I just started my journey with Google Cloud last week, actually. And just to inform you, I'm in the Google Cloud student, the inaugural batch of the Google Cloud student program. So I am being mentored directly by Google for the ACE certification. So, yep, I'm really glad to join you all in your journey with ACE as well. So, like, I just shared some official, courses they did ask us to take from Google itself. And, like, the architect with Google Cloud Compute Engine preparing for Associate Cloud Engineer exam. The Coursera courses. So they just said, take those 2, do the quick labs, and then they are expected to complete it. It's a 10-week program. So in about 10 weeks, I'll be doing my ACE exam as well.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So just hope
Good
to share
luck.
the experience. Maybe if you all have any questions from what I learned from Google itself, I could try to help out in any way I can as well. Yep.
Good luck. What did you say? You will take the exam or you just passed the exam? I'm sorry.
No, I will be taking the exam on August.
Ah.
So I'm in the 10-week Google Cloud Student Sprint Program.
Ah,
The first
okay.
batch. Yeah.
Good
So
luck.
we're being trained by Google. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So those who are not too familiar with networking, I think I sent a link as well to the tutorials point, and that's what Google sent me as well to brush up on my networking skills. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And I do share about my experience with like whatever cloud stuff I do on my LinkedIn. So please feel free to connect with me as well. Thank you.
Post your LinkedIn profile here.
Sure. Of course. No problem. So whatever I do in Google every week, I'll try to post it up as well. I got a weekly schedule to follow to achieve every week. The last week was about doing the Google fundamentals, learning about storage, Kubernetes, and BigQuery. So this week I'm going to be doing more onto the Kubernetes lab, yep, and the BigQuery lab.
Nice.
Right.
Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
And somebody asked, why are we doing this? And then my line dropped. So when I reconnected, you switched topics. But at one point, I posted a link. So you're asking why we're doing that. So with me, it wasn't this exam. I'm interested in data engineering and professional cloud architecture. But Santish was the one who said PCA and ACE overlap a lot and that we should start from somewhere. And then actually, I was surprised how much gaps I had. So that's why I'm here with you guys. But PCA exam apparently is that's professional cloud architect, one of the most regarded exams in the industry. And reviews say, I don't know where I read it exactly, that PCA exam represents the best kind of overall cloud solution architect skills, regardless of the cloud. That it's least Google-centric, but it's most representative of the real jobs architects do. And since I'm in that field and I was already doing Amazon, I wanted to jump here. And then actually it was somebody from Accenture I work with. He pasted the link. Maybe you can see the global knowledge somewhere above. I posted half an hour ago. Can you see that somewhere? Global knowledge, yes. So global knowledge, apparently, I didn't know that, but Accenture guys, they have internal sites, they pay them the training. They say that if you have Google Professional Architect exam, it's considerably more paid than anything else. And even if it's not paid, it's good to keep your job or get to the job. And personally, I'm not into certificates, but people are superficial. They don't judge you, but what you know, what you do, but just look at what car you drive, what shoes you have, and what certificates you have. So unfortunately, with the times that are coming, we'll have to add more of these certificates. And what's better to do at home in the basement than to study. So
I reshared your link.
Daniel.
Yep, sorry. I reshare again.
Yeah,
you mentioned PC exam. Did I hear you correctly? PC exam. What is that?
Professional cloud architect. So Abbas asked. I think Abbas, you were asking, and then Sandy was talking about why you were doing that, and then I lost you guys. So professional cloud architect is apparently highest regarded exam in the industry because it's only partially Google specific. It's case studies, how you think, how you troubleshoot, those flow charts that I pointed. That's how you navigate. So it's not about horizontal knowledge, knowing all the facts, but recognizing what in the 50 Shades of Grey helps particular business user the most.
Okay, could you please put a link to the PC exam, PCA?
Well, I don't know, you guys are certification
if
group.
You go,
it's awesome GCP, really. I remember. That's how I met Santosh. It was awesome GCP YouTube channel. I started studying that part, and then I met Santosh, and he was no, go back to the basics.
I'm
okay. So first, you want to get certified in.
So this is entry level for everything. Yeah. So
and then later on.
Yeah, my hobbies are really in data engineering, like a guardian to databases. So how I see the world, I'm an old guy, 30-something years in IT, but it's all is going to become new again. Before, 20 years ago, you had Oracle database and a bunch of shell scripts and moving the data ETL. Now everything's going to move to the cloud, and probably BigQuery is going to win in data warehouses with SQL language, and we have all these ETL tools, all these data prop, data prac, data engineering, really, to be guardians of those.
No,
That's
half an hour.
kind
I'm
of my
done,
hobby,
please.
to be guardian for data.
We do it together.
And or help it to machine science.
We will do it
But my
together.
day job is solution architect.
Or if you know how to do
exam
it, go
is
ahead.
really,
But in
is
half an
really
hour,
like
I'm done.
benchmark for it, regardless of the cloud. But you cannot get to it until you finish this one. So.
To answer to your question, how you say Abbas, your name?
Yes.
Give me just
That's
one
close
second.
enough.
If everybody can see my screen, I will share quickly, and I will share the link even. But I'm a visual person, and many times when somebody tell me something I don't understand because my English is limited. But if they show me something, it's better. So that's why I have this tendency to show when I talk. So if you go to actually what I did, I Google GCP certification, and here. They made this website so good. When I started last year, they didn't have all this information. Now it's huge. You have everything so good done. So here you can go directly. The first button is view certifications, and you can go and see the path for each certification and see which one fits your. Wait a second, where are certifications? Fits your needs. Here is the associate, and here are the professional ones. They changed the website, so I'm kind of confused. So you can see the professional architect, and you can go to click each one to see what you are supposed to do in order to take this exam. You can have an overview and the requirements, what you have to study, the training that you can take, and mostly now they have even on person, but now with the coronavirus, most of this stuff it's on demand online, and you can go to take it and you can learn. And they have like video courses. Here you have the quick labs where it's hands-on practice, and this you can open a GCP free tier, and I think they give you $300 credits or something. I don't know how much is now. And here are the quests that you have to take for this particular, if you are interested in professional. If you are interested in associate, you go in the associate one. And here you have additional resources, and also you can practice the exam somewhere. Here I think the exam guide, I don't know where is the, somewhere you can go to practice the exam. I don't remember where it is. Maybe here. I have the links saved for me, but only for associates. Sometimes the links don't work anymore because they change things around. But
can you go back? There is practice exam.
Yeah, there is.
Just below the practice
exam
overview.
Yeah, I seen it.
There.
Yeah, sorry. They change every time. So here you can launch the exam, and you can try to. I think like 20 questions you have, 23, but not 23 actually, because they ask you about yourself in the beginning. So I think there are 20 questions only to get an idea how the questions of the exam are. So, but it's a very good website. They did it much better than it was before. It's complete now, I will say, because before I had to go to Google many things. Here you can see you have solutions, you have products, all in this website only for certification, the pricing and getting started and everything. So I will share this link with you, but actually the main link here. And you can go to see what you are interested to follow, and you do that. If you are not interested to follow the ACE exam that we are following here, you know what I mean?
Thank you, Linda. That was very helpful. I'll take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the beginning I was myself so confused. I said, oh man, from where I start, what I do, so much information. And it's kind of difficult. It's like you go in the Amazon forest. If you don't have somebody who was in there and to show you the way, where to walk, it's kind of difficult. So I understand you.
Yeah, and I assume that you would want to start with associate certificates before you go on to the developer or the professional certification?
If you take the associate, I don't know if Karen wants to say something, but usually if you take the associate is the base for every other professional certificate. So if you go to professional, you will have questions from associate. So I don't know.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, I would like to add here something. If you are really unexperienced with cloud topics and or maybe a little bit, I would definitely recommend to go for this associate, because associate this Google certification as associate is pretty tough already. But then if you are a cloud professional just coming from the AWS world, maybe it's not tough enough for you. And if your target is to be a professional architect and get the appropriate certification, I would suggest maybe like in 80% of the cases, it's worth preparing for the professional architect and going there. If you are a professional cloud guy and just want to migrate to Google Cloud Platform. But if you are a newbie or you have a little bit of experience, it just makes really sense to go for this associate. It's already tough. Like comparing to other providers, like for example, a joke named Alibaba Cloud, which like they give away certificate as a toilet paper, it's worth nothing. It's not comparable even to them. Yeah, because our GDG Cloud group from Nuremberg, pretty much every second person there already got certified at Alibaba Cloud, but it's worth nothing, believe me. So yeah, if you are a newbie, go for the Google Associate. It's really very reputable, one of the most reputable cloud providers, and also exam systems. You see, it's really tricky. It's not straightforward. But if you are a professional, go straight to your professional grade certification. Don't mess with this, like don't invest time and lose time in this. Go straight to your target.
Thank you very much.
It's not losing time. It's just kind of knowing what you do. Like, I wanted to skip that, but you're just curious. Like, you don't feel good about skipping something and leaving the gap. But
Absolutely.
It's just all the summer in the basement, like COVID.
No, Daniel, don't take it personal, but it's just like, absolutely, if you want to go get orientation at first, it's worth taking this associate exam. It's really tough. I mean, it will consume your time to prepare and everything. Yeah. But if you are really professional, like you are super professional with this stuff, and your target final destination is to get this professional architect, maybe it's just worth already preparing to this grade, because thankfully, it's not a prerequisite for professional architect to pass this associate level.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
To jump in with what you were saying, Karen, I know a couple of my colleagues at work have taken both associate and architect, the professional, and both. I think a lot of them say that because it's something they use in their day-to-day life, that the professional cloud architect was to an extent easier than the associate cloud engineer, because they'd already got that information and they already know the fundamentals. They just need to build on that and use the solutions that they already know. But yeah, I as somebody who's a beginner at cloud, that's exactly why I went for ACE instead.
And to add to Abbas as well, there are people online that did PCA first, and then within 2 weeks, apparently belief is that they're so similar that within 2 weeks, if you have enough cloud experience or architecture experience, you can finish PCA. So some people went like Karen suggested.
Right.
That's not going to rush, because it's like having Lego pieces. How can you solution something if you don't know about Lego blocks? So you have to know the block you can build towers from.
Right.
Yeah, and who got the dance course? Did you start to learn a little bit? I did like 40% so far. I'm doing even other things. I'm working even on other things, so I cannot dedicate only time to GCP exam, but 1 hour here and there makes difference.
So, Linda, you're further than me. I think that I'm on section 5, but and I can't recall. Did he mention if Anthos is going to be on the basic exam? But I know, like, sometimes you'll say, this is not going to be on the basic exam.
I didn't arrive there to the Antos. I know that the Antos was released the end of the last year or when, or this year. I don't remember.
Yeah, like 2018 or 19 or something. It's a new thing, so I don't know if it's in there yet or not.
There was somebody who wanted to say something. Can you?
Yeah, it's me, Linda Joyce. I wanted to. Can you share the link again for the course, please?
Dance course.
Yes.
If you wait until next weekend, if you attend our joined meetup with Dan, you might get maybe somebody already posted. I was. Oh, okay.
I posted the link, but in Karen's document, there is a link to the book and the course.
Let me see mine.
If you look at this, you can get both those links, and there's persistent. You don't have to worry about the quest or this chat thing.
Yeah, I'm trying. 1 second. Let's see. Course lecture overview. What is this? Okay. One second.
So the lady that was in England who passed it, do you recall what topics, if you were going to just say like the big topics, it's SQL based, non-SQL based databases, data analytics, because you've got BigQuery, right? Networking, Kubernetes. I know Kubernetes is going to be hot on there. IAM, computing in general, stack driver. Is there anything else that comes to mind in terms of those high level categories?
Yeah, there were a lot of questions on cloud storage options. So you really, what I did before the exam is I drew up a table of what features are related to what cloud storage option. Just so that I know if they say transactional, I automatically think of Cloud Spanner. Things like that help you to straight away eliminate some answers. So in my table, I'd say things like what language can you query in, what type of data can you store in it, etc. But there were definitely a lot of solution questions regarding which cloud storage option is best. IAM questions, there were, I think, mostly straightforward questions. There was one trick question, I believe, where they made up an IAM role, but it's quite easy to pick up on those once you've done a couple of those IAM options. I think there's a couple of questions on cloud marketplace, a couple of questions on deployment manager, but mostly networking, Kubernetes, and cloud storage, I'd say.
Right, very good. I'm adding the cloud storage. I forgot about that. Thank you for pointing that out. I did put in some stuff about deployment manager and the marketplace in like the GCP in general kind of topics.
Yeah, there were also a couple of questions on it. It was really, I think, the very last question was regarding cloud architecture, but that wasn't mentioned in the book at any stage. But it was something that you can figure out if you really took 2 or 3 minutes to look through the diagram they posted. So the options, they usually give you 2 that are similar and then 2 that are completely different and wrong. So as I eliminated 2 of the options straight away because they were looking at a different topic completely. And then I wasn't sure of the last 2 options, and they had kind of command line structures. So I just went word by word and tried to see if that was on the diagram, if that made sense, if that linked. And I think that really definitely was a question that was tricky because it wasn't even mentioned in the book. It wasn't mentioned anywhere on the Google Cloud website.
Okay, very good, very good. If you get a chance, could you look at that last section on the ACE study group document that I shared last, and just see if there's anything there like you think is amiss or missing or needs a removal, yada yada yada. Please.
Sorry, just trying to find where you shared it. Oh, on the Google Docs, yeah.
I'll share it again right here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
But anyways, if you want to follow the correct way, you are better off going the most up-to-date documentation that you have to know. You have to go in that certification website, Google's website. That is, you know exactly what you have to learn. If they updated, maybe I will have myself to go, because when I was in 2019, end of 2019, things might have changed, so I will have to update my list also. So go ahead, who was talking before?
No, I wanted to say the way Sandy was explaining is exactly what Santosh was saying last time. It's how to think about answering, grouping questions to correct and incorrect. And his YouTube channel, Awesome GCP, talks about that. So I managed to watch first 20 videos and to analyze them, but now he has 40 more that overlap with other exams. So there is no end to that.
Okay, I've got a to-do list at the top of that section, Linda, to look at that Google Cloud certifications and the quest, and then like add the quest to the section. But basically, I'm I've done so many of these labs.
I think if we post the links, hopefully they don't break. It's better, because you can, if something changes, because GCP and cloud in general is something that it's updating every day, it's evolving every day. So something that we might put in this moment in the file might be out to date in a month or two, and you might get the questions at the exam from that. I don't think so. They will do it so fast. Maybe if you do it 1 year from now, it will be will be updates for the exam. But just so you know, always when you prepare for the exam, your Bible is the Google certification website. You go there, you see what you have to prepare, and that and after you have all the other resources that we share here with you. Somebody wrote something on Slack. I was talking and I wasn't able to read it. Okay.
So last week we had at the end some kind of homework for everyone to take with us and prepare for the next week. Do we have anything this time? What do you think? What should we concentrate on in between?
I would suggest, who has the book, go ahead and read the book. Who has the courses? If you have Coursera and Pluralsight are the same course. It's made by Google team, and depending which one. I think now with the pandemic, Pluralsight gave like a month or two, or I don't know how much free, so you can take it free. At the time it was in Coursera free when I did it, but I was going back in Pluralsight and I see that is the same course. So because of my English, and for me it's really difficult, the language, I took the video course more than once. So don't think that you take it once and you know everything, unless you are a genius. I'm not a genius, so I have to. Yeah, somebody shared the IQ test online. Is that one? Thank you. I couldn't find it quickly. And also, so try to see. Last week I shared the document, but it's not up to date. That Excel file with the links that takes you to the documentation. So many times what you read in the book, what you see in the video courses and things like this is not really enough. As Sandy says, when you go for the to learn the commands for the shell, command shell, you might want to go directly into the documentation and to learn exactly the syntax. So the problem here is like not remembering each command, but you have to see that there is a pattern for each command, no? So like how you call it? Oh man, did you say? I cannot even explain. So, like noun, verb, and so if you learn the pattern, when you have the question, if you do, it's a new command that you don't you didn't go over the documentation, or you don't know it in the moment. And I saw that online when I do this test, because I didn't type as everybody, I copy and pasted. But what I did, I learned the pattern, and I never miss one question, I never fail one question with the command line. Why? Because I learned the pattern, and I learned where you have to use it. If you are in let's say in give me, where is my here? It's in the compute, no? You say you know that you have to use the compute questions. If you are in Kubernetes, you have to use kubectl. If you are in compute gsutil, and so on. So you know, depending which category is the question and which category, you say, okay, so you eliminate everything else. If you are in compute, your question is about compute, you eliminate everything else, you leave only the compute ones. And after you follow the pattern, and it will help you. So that's a way to make a reason of it, to make it understand it for you. I don't know, for me worked this, so I see that I never failed that questions.
Yeah, hi Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Prasanna from India.
Hi Prasanna.
Yeah, I would like to add a few more points actually.
Go ahead.
So I have just cleared my Google Cloud Associate level exam on last week actually.
Congratulations.
So, thanks for that. So better when come to the course material, please use the Coursera, because we can download the Coursera material from the website, but we cannot download such videos from plural site. There is some restrictions are there. So if you, because there is a time limit, there is right, for every month they will charge no. So if you can able to download the course, means if you are preparing for something or activity or whatever it is, you can just brush up yourself. Okay, so better everyone go with Coursera. That's a really great thing actually.
Actually, with Coursera, you know, you have the button on the side. So I like to download in my iPad. So because we are consumers of videos, my husband and I. He's watching YouTube, and
okay.
So I like to. So as you says, I like to download my courses, so I don't have interruptions. Wait, it's spinning. So yes, I agree. I didn't try to see if in a plural site you can download and watch it. Even when you are not at your computer, you can watch it. So many times if I'm away, but with the coronavirus, we are not away ever. We are always home, so it's easier. But there is in Coursera, there is the option to download all the course, and you watch it at your pace wherever you are.
And Pluralsight has a player that allows you to download the courses onto your player, and then you can watch them offline. I remember I took an airplane to watch a couple of Pluralsight courses offline that way.
Wow. Okay.
But A-Cloud Guru is the same.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's good. Like I finished it, but I don't feel good about passing.
I started to redo it. The one that I did it in Coursera is the same one in Pluralsight, basically. Mm-hmm. But I did very little because I didn't have this group, and I got discouraged alone. But now I'm getting back in track, being here with you. I lost my voice. So I'm getting back to learning myself.
Well, good luck. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
it'll be fine.
So I will have to leave you at 12.
Yeah.
That's my allowance.
Yeah, everyone, I will just put down the homework for the next week meetup in this document at the end. Everything is optional. Everything what we just discussed, you can find there. We will try to put out a video of this today's conversation. And yeah, if you have time and chance, go and make your homework. One of the items will be, I already started to put it there, to attend next Saturday the meetup with Dan Sullivan, who is the author of all official Google Cloud certification guides, which are available. And if you want to buy either his course or his book, and it's not really very urgent, wait until this date. If you can wait, maybe he will provide something very cool.
It's a surprise. We don't want to spoil all the
yeah.
surprises. So
I'm sorry for spoiling the surprise. I have no idea actually what will go on. Linda was primarily negotiating with Dan, so I'm curious what will happen.
Dan is a great person. So a big heart and everything, and I can see is coming out along a lot of good stuff.
Sounds very promising. Very nice.
So yeah.
Good. Another thing, pick your course, official course. It's either Coursera, and we will maybe with Prasanna we will continue the conversation in the Slack how to get these videos from Coursera if they're available. Let's stay in touch with Prasanna. Or another one is Pluralsight. I think right now there is a campaign for Pluralsight where you can get free access to it.
Actually, if you go, last week we shared that link was at the end of June.
30%.
But if you subscribe for that one, they give you like 50% or 100% of Coursera free. Even Coursera was 50%. Free, but now no more.
It's 50% Coursera now. It used to be 100% a few months ago. Coursera is more expensive as of right now.
Too much noise.
Pluralsight, I think you still can get it for free for
another 5 minutes.
I'm not sure. We have to double check all the links because they, from time to time, they expire.
Yeah.
Listen to you, Prasanna. Do you want to add something?
No, Karin.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. Another thing would be as a homework. If we have people who are interested in professional architect certification, please express this wish in our Slack. We can form another group only, and we will let you just do whatever you want. I mean, you don't have to wait the main group until we are done. Maybe a small fraction of the main group will go forward with another professional certification. So guys and girls, let's catch up in the Slack afterwards. If you want to go for professional architect, go for it and have support from other members.
Okay, so express in Slack your interest for the professional, and we will see if we find someone who can lead us to the professional. I wish myself, but first I want to pass the architect, and after I will go for the professional. So for the moment, I'm focused on this one. Okay. Does anyone has any other questions or something to share?
Thank you, Sandy, for sharing your success story. And for those from Toronto, we are not meeting again next Sunday. We're meeting on Saturday because book author will be here. Carolinda, thank you and John as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention you and on a meetup for guys from Toronto for organizing this, allowing us to participate.
Don't worry, we will try to record the next section as I think both with Dan, the session with Dan, and also our study group should be recorded. So you will be able to catch up after.
Yeah. Actually, we have a lot of people RSPV, so we are looking even into streaming to YouTube, because as you know, with the Google Meet, we can have only 250 people attendance, and we are joined other GDGs, and it's a joint meetup, the one with Dan Sullivan. So I really encourage you, if you are interested in getting your certification and you have questions that are not answered yet, that's the moment. He will have a presentation preparing you for the exam with tips and theory, and after we will have a Q&A and you can answer your question. You can ask your questions and have the answers. So prepare your questions. Also, maybe I will have to prepare. I got so busy. I had to prepare a form to take questions. There is anybody in the attendees that knows easiest way? I know some websites. I have to go to check them, to where people can post questions in advance and have it out there, and after take it during the event, because if we have lots of people, it will be more difficult during the event to handle everything.
Linda, let's just make another Google Doc and everyone can comment there. How does it look like?
Maybe there are websites. I have someone saved. I have to go to look where people can post questions and others can vote, and they go in order. The most voted one goes in the top, and the last. You know what I mean? But I have to look because I saved some from my past experience. I have to see how they work.
Okay. We will announce it, right, Linda? If we will come up with some solution, or if you have any ideas, please in Slack connect with us and suggest.
If you are in Slack, we will share everything in Slack. Go in Slack. Karen has a very active Slack. Our Slack is not so active. You need a great team like theirs. It's very active, and you'll have always an answer or something. So when we will have ready everything, we will let you know in Slack.
Okay, great. So let's finish in time. Thank you everyone for taking part. You're amazing. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you. Bye.
Good luck.
Best of luck.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Sì, ci vediamo la settimana prossima. See you next week.
Samo poslušaj, evo, obrio sam bradu, a brkove nisam još. Nisam. But
let's see how many people fell asleep at the meetup. How many people will stay in the call?
If you're not going to, are you going to use the call for something else? I was just going to stay in it while I worked on labs. If anybody had any question, they could ask me.
Yes, sure.
Guys,
Linda, you
I
can
will have to go.
stop the recording.
Yeah, I will have to